There we go.
Keith, we might joke saying that it looks like a draw that Port Adelaide would have written it itself. Is it one that you would have designed if you had your own hand on it?
There's a lot of really good stuff in it. I think this is it's a great fixture for our fans and supporters. If you have a look at the combination of time slots and quality opposition coming to Adelaide, I think it's it's very exciting. The way that we would look at it is there are 9 home games where we are in our preferred slots. A mixture of Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. We happen to think that night footy featuring Port Adelaide is one of the great AFL events on the calendar, and there are 7 of those opportunities this year and a few twilights. So you mix that with the fact that we're bringing Essendon, Geelong, Hawthorn, and Richmond to Adelaide for those night games. It's terrific. The other thing that we like about it is that that Anzac Day clash is something that we value highly, and thankfully the AFL continue to respect the relationships that we've built around that game, and to be playing Geelong on that Saturday night will be another very big event. We like the idea that we're going to be playing Richmond and Collingwood on the MCG. 2 games at the G is not a huge number, but there have been years in recent times we didn't have any. So we take that, and they're good ones. So I imagine that our supporters will be planning those trips, and they enjoy going to those games. So all in all, we think there's a real lot to look forward to.
Is it a boon for you to get Friday night, Thursday night back to back?
Yeah. Look, I just think that any time that you can get those sort of high-profile standalone games, it's enormously important from a commercial point of view, from a profile point of view, and they're great events. You get a little bit more time to promote the games, and we'll look to make full use of them.
The immediate thing is it looks like a dream run, so that expectation factor comes on Port Adelaide again. You didn't handle it well this year. How do you handle now that you'll be written up as you're already linked as a top 4 finisher already?
Well, we learned from this year that the fixture can make it all look a bit silly. I remember going into 2015, and we had underestimated the West Coast and the Bulldogs. We thought that they might be emerging, but they clearly have gone a lot further than that. And we lost to Brisbane and Carlton. So we don't take this draw for granted in any way. This competition, needs to be respected, and we will respect it. But we would say that it lines up well, and for all those reasons I've just mentioned. But we don't look at it and think, well, that's an easy draw. There's nothing easy about the AFL competition.
Do you like the week off after round 23?
Yeah, I'm mixed on that. If you're in the grand final, I think it's really, really valuable. Instinctively, I feel like the final series may lose momentum, but I imagine that the AFL are working very hard on making that a 2-week extravaganza. So it will largely eradicate the issue that they're trying to deal with, which is that resting players in round 23. And in the finals and all that sort of stuff, but I think we're going to have to work really hard to maintain the momentum of the final series into the grand final.
So why do we have a floating fixture at 23 then? Why wouldn't we lock 23?
Well, you could mount that argument with that change. I guess they're going to introduce the change and then review it, but you absolutely could. I would have thought.
Did the AFL have to be seen to be doing something after what happened in this final?
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable assumption. I don't think that the optics of that situation last year was good for the game. I think everyone recognises that. It was perfectly legal, everyone understood it, but I don't think it was a great look.
The first, 4 of the first 5 at home, how important is it to capitalise on that and get a good start?
Well, we've been on both ends of a season where we started well and seasons where we haven't started well in my time as CEO. it places enormous pressure on you if you get to 6, 7 or 8 rounds and you're behind the ledger. It really places undue pressure on you. So if you can get away to a quick start, and Adelaide Oval clearly, is our preferred place to play, that's good for us. Now, it's no guarantee, but it certainly is advantageous to get off to a good start.
Keith, not your problem this time, but how do you feel about 1:15 time slot for a showdown on Saturday?
It doesn't work in Adelaide. It's not a great... of all the times... now, given that it's a showdown, we probably get away with it. And Adelaide have that ability to draw that crowd. But we've made it really clear that Saturday afternoon in Adelaide is probably the least preferred time slot. The AFL acknowledge that. And from our point of view, we've been spared largely that slot this year. But it's I think that the difficulty for the guys in Melbourne is that in Melbourne the slot works. It just doesn't work as well here. So it's a difficult time slot.
Keith, I know you seem pretty happy with it. Any frustrations? I know you put a wish list out, but anything that didn't quite get met that you would like?
I think that you'd be a bit petty to be complaining about this draw. It's really complicated. I think that the AFL have been very respectful to our needs and wishes. As I said, with Anzac Day and Alice Springs and the night profile. So, I would like to think that we've earned this draw, and our responsibility now is to justify it.
Earned it commercially, you mean, not?
Well,
earned it football-wise.
Well, I think if you take a 4 or 5 year view of this, we said right from the start when in 2012, 2011, things, we weren't getting those opportunities. The way in which we play and the sort of entertainment that we provide, I think, has given us the right to have higher profile time slots, and we were prepared to accept it when we weren't getting them. But now we have had some luck in that area. I think it's reasonable, and it's up to us to justify.
You're talking about entertainment you provide. Of course, your match day experience, I think, has been held as a benchmark for everyone else to have a look at. Is that? That's
what I'm talking about. I think it's two things. You've got to be playing great footy, and you've got to be putting on a good show. And I think that night footy in Adelaide, and I'm biased, but particularly when Port Adelaide is playing, is pretty special on the calendar.
Was the week off after the trip to Perth something that the club had asked for, and how important is it to have a week off after a trip away?
Not really. To be honest, we didn't make any requests around travel. We're quite comfortable with the 6-day turnaround. You can get fatigued. I'm not saying that, but we tend not to raise that as an issue because every club has to face it at some point, I would imagine. So we didn't really raise that as an issue.
Keith, on the other issues, how did you feel about the drug policy in the end?
Better than it was. I still think that we've got some further ground to cover, but I'm pleased that the conversation is being had. I think it's tougher. I think that we will have better visibility and the CEOs get involved earlier. But I still think I think it'll. I'm hoping it will evolve further over the next couple of years.
You say you get better visibility, yet we're shutting down on it. There'll be no public declarations anymore. Isn't that a risk of them making it look like it's just been put under a carpet?
I guess it is. I guess I come from the point of view of I know what happens when these issues are raised, and I know the work that goes into it. So I know that the remedial action is real. Now, the public consultation phase, I think that is you can understand it. It's a real concern both for the player, particularly, but also the club. I think the club right now is a victim of all of the publicity that goes on because we get surprised by it all the time, and and very often, it's damaging.
But if we're not going to get number of tests, number of fails, how do we know if the program's working?
Yeah, well, I think we've got to take these things slowly. I think eventually that will occur. I think that is a natural part of the process, but right now
It was already existing there.
I think there's sensitivities. I think that this is a sensitive negotiation where we are asking the playing group to give ground on a really important issue for the AFL and for the clubs. It's a negotiation, and so you have to be respectful of sensitivities. And so right now, I think we go into that phase, we accept it. The important thing for me is that we are seeing the problems earlier, we're doing something about it, and the players are being looked after. And I think over time, we'll mature to the point where we can say, we should be talking about this, and we are making progress or we're not making progress. I think that'll come. But
shouldn't that be a non-negotiable for the public's belief in the system?
Well, I guess if I'm in the public, what I want to know is that these things are being treated seriously.
Well, you do that by telling how many tests and who's failing.
Yeah, well, you could. Well, I know. You also do it by getting visibility and being in the loop and being part of the solution. And so I think we've improved it. We've got some room to go. I suspect that this conversation will continue for the next for ongoing, but it's moving forward.
Keith, just on that, from a wider perspective, not this particular club though, you speaking to everyone else, is it a massive concern? I think Gary Pert used the term volcanic a little while ago, but is it a massive concern from the wider viewpoint of clubs in the industry?
It's certainly grown as a concern quite quickly over the last 3 years. And whether it has in real terms, I'm not sure, but certainly the amount of discussion, focus, concern about it has increased dramatically. And for me, that's a very positive thing, because it's dangerous ground for players to be in and for clubs to be in. And as you know, I would like us to be more aggressive, but I was on the committee that was formulating this new policy. I was privy to a strong representation by the players, so I've heard that, and I think we've just got to take it step by step. But to answer your question, I think that the general perception in society is that the drug issue is getting bigger, and I think through that awareness, it's made us look much more closely at what's going on in our own backyard, and so and the response has been as a result of that.
So what was the case put forward for not having public disclosure of full test and results?
Well, I think it was really just protection of. I think we want to, if we're going on a discovery tour, if through increasing the amount of testing that's going on and whatever, and asking the players to submit to that, if there's an assumption that might pull out a clearer picture about what's going on, and that's negative, well then, I think there would be concern about that. I think that's the natural that's the natural conversation that goes on, and I think that through this phase of increasing our awareness of the size of the problem, the fact that we're being a little bit more discreet with the information, I think, is not an unreasonable position to take right now. But as I said, I think we'll grow on through that.
All good. Thank you.
Can I just throw one more, sorry?
Yeah.
Just back to the fixturing. The club said they're travelling every state and territory apart from Tassie.
Yeah.
Is that an important thing in terms of the brand of Port Adelaide?
We've always seen it as being important. We think that profile. We have national clients who do business in every state, obviously, and it gives us an opportunity to put Port Adelaide in their backyard, and that's important for us. And so, yeah, we've never shied away from it. We enjoy the opportunity to go on the road and to show our brand.